very pleased to announce a new contract with John. I think on behalf of ownership, there's no question in our mind that John is the right man to manage this team. We expect him to be here for a long time, given that he had been entering the final year of the original contract he signed here. We wanted to get something done with him prior to spring training. We almost made it, first day of camp, I guess. So again, on behalf of ownership, just very pleased we could get this done. Again, clearly we want him to be our manager here for a long time, but this just gets the question out of the way going into the season and allows us to focus on baseball.
How important do you view continuity in the dugout then?
It's very important. I mean, I think you guys know that there's a lot that goes into the manager's job in Boston. What happens between inning 1 and 9 is just a very small part of it. John has the ability, and one of the few guys that has the ability that we think really thrive and excel in everything that comes along with being a manager in Boston. So it's just very clear to us that he's the right guy, and we want to be working together as a group and with him for a long time.
John, what was it like for you to have to make it such a priority to knock this out of the way so early?
Well, first and foremost, I'm ecstatic to have the extension, to be able to work alongside Ben, and Mike and many others in our front office. This is a very special place, and to be able to be here for at least the number of years that are in place, we don't take for granted one moment what the expectations are and what we are, how we have to deliver on those expectations. But to the coaching staff that we have, the dedication that they have, it's a great group to work with, and particularly when you look at the roster that we have in place, this is setting up to be, I think, another special year. But the fact that it was handled in the way it was, very, very low key, which is preferred on my part. I always feel that the focus should always remain on the players, and that will always be the case. But ecstatic about this coming together.
Ben, what makes John a special manager?
I think as I referenced, I see the job, especially in Boston, as one that is multifaceted, and yes, you have to make decisions during a game, but you've got to be able to communicate with all sorts of different people, players, staff, front office, ownership, and external to the organization too. You've got to be able to handle difficult situations with honesty, with integrity. You got to be accountable. You got to have credibility, respect from all those different people that you're working with, and John has the ability to do all those things, and I think it's a small number of people that can do all those things well. As John said, we understand that ultimately we got to perform on the field, and that's up to us to make happen. But I felt when we hired John prior to 2013 that there was no doubt in my mind that he was the right person for the job, and I still feel that way.
Ben, coming off of what was a disappointing season, obviously, did you and ownership think it was important to show some commitment to John, that it wasn't, well, let's see how this year goes, that sort of take the question off the table early?
It had a lot more to do with the time he was on his previous contract, I think, more than anything, more than the performance. I think John, I think this was going to happen at some point, and we felt it was important for John and for the team and what we're trying to accomplish to just to settle that before we get into spring training, what would have been the final year on the original 3-year deal he signed. So it was much more about that and our belief in John as being the guy that we want here than anything about last year.
Ben, did you learn anything from the Terry experience in 2011? You kind of went through the same thing, only that season kind of prolonged and there was never an extension worked out.
I have to say there was no distinction or no parallel that I drew between the two situations. Different situations. We're here, it's 2015, John's our manager. We did this because we believe in John, we wanted to be here. It wasn't It wasn't a reaction to anything that's happened in the past.
John, what's more important, dealing with the players or in-game stuff, in your opinion, as a good job as a manager?
Oh, I think one of the main things is to be able to connect with the number of players, all the players, and the different types of players that we have in our clubhouse. I don't know that you can prioritize one over the other. They're equally important. But I think in the time that we're now playing this game, it's important that you're honest and communicate consistently with the guys that come through the clubhouse, and that they know that you have their back. But yet we all agree upon one thing, and that is how we come together as a team and play as a team. So the in-game decisions will kind of unfold as a game unfolds. But I think being consistent with players, they understanding where their place is, what their role is, that's all part of communicating, connecting with individual players.
Could a manager who said my way or the highway succeed today, in your opinion?
I'm sure he could in many different situations. Again, I try to stay open-minded, use our coaching staff to the best of our abilities. This is us collectively as a group. It's not about any one individual.
John, Ben just mentioned how it's more than just what happens for an team, innings 1 through 9. How much did working under Terry help in this market help prepare you for all that extra stuff?
Mike, those 4 years were invaluable because the different personalities that every team is going to have, and the focal point that our team, the Red Sox, can be in New England and certainly in Boston. He diffused so many things that people never saw in the way he dealt with guys in his office. Again, he subscribed to the same view that the game is still about the players. For us to lose sight of how difficult this game to play would be short-sighted on our part, and to have some compassion towards players when times of challenge are there, they got to feel your support. So his example was invaluable. The guy in the third row will probably have some choice words.